A list of the top 10 trade candidates according to CBSSports.com. Lots of trade coverage over on CBSSports.com. Be sure to check that out. Juan Soto, of course, topping the list. Pitcher Luis Castillo from the Reds alongside Frankie Montas from the A's, and Pittsburgh outfielder Bryant Reynolds and Oakland catcher Sean Murphy will round out the top 5. All right, let's talk possible trades with CBS Sports HQ baseball insider Jim Bowden. Jim's going to give us players that certain contending teams should be targeting within the next week. Jim, let's start with the Dodgers as they try to win the Juan Soto sweepstakes.
Yeah, they're certainly trying to win the Soto sweepstakes. And if you remember a year ago, that's when they made the trade with the Nationals to get both Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. And they would love history to repeat itself. There's no doubt that they want to acquire him. There's no doubt they have no untouchables in their farm system right now, and they are engaged and will continue to be. They want to try to find a way to make it work. They think they can financially. They think they can with prospects, but it comes down to whatever the Nationals think. But that's not their only need. They're also out there chasing bullpen help, and I think that's kind of one area that they need to improve because I think Craig Kimbrell closing games is not a sure thing, like they were hoping it was going to be when they traded for him from the White Sox in spring training. So Scott Barlow of the Kansas City Royals is one of the targets that they are chasing. The Royals don't want to trade Barlow, but they will based on where they are in their rebuilding process. Barlow with a 1.98 ERA this year with 16 saves there for Kansas City. He's pitched 46 and 2/3 innings, 33 hits and 45 Ks with an ERA under 2. So there's no doubt that Soto is their number one target, but in terms of if that fails, I think bullpen is the area to look at with the Dodgers, with Scott Barlow being one of the headliners they'd like to bring back.
Yeah, some of the other names that's certainly on their shopping list. All right, next up, the New York Mets. What names should be topping their list as the deadline approaches?
Well, they've already been engaged with the Angels regarding Shohei Ohtani. And now, before you go any further, yes, I know the Angels have said they have no intention of trading him, but they are fielding phone calls and they are listening. And the reason why the Mets connection is so important to listen to is the GM of the Mets, Billy Epler, was actually the GM of the Angels when they signed Ohtani. He is the guy that spent a lot of time in Japan building a relationship with Ohtani and his people, his agents, and he would love to be able to get reunited with him. So I don't think there's any question that they will stay engaged with the Angels to see if they can pry him away. If they can't get him at the deadline, I think they'll try to trade for him in the offseason. And if that doesn't work, he's expected to be a free agent at the end of next year. I don't think he's going to re-sign with the Angels because he really wants to win, and I'm not sure there's a pathway for the Angels to win. So that's the dream target of the Mets. But now let's get a little more realistic. One of the areas they want to improve on is the setup relief role, getting to Edwin Diaz, who's been one of the best closers in the game. And David Bednar of the Pittsburgh Pirates is one of those targets for them. They've got a lot of interest in him. Bednar is a guy that put up a 2.23 ERA a year ago with the Pittsburgh Pirates, going 60 and 2/3 innings. This year, he's got similar success. His ERA has been under 3. He's pitched 45 and 2/3 innings and has 17 saves as well, and would be a great 8th inning pickup for them. So Ohtani, probably the dream pickup. Bednar, probably the more realistic target at this point.
Ohtani, a guy that our Will Middlebrooks has been going on about for a few days now, about the trade value being so high, now would be the time to move him. All right, so what about the other team in this week's Subway Series, the best team in baseball, the New York Yankees?
Yeah, so the Yankees, like the Dodgers, we have to start the conversation with Juan Soto for a lot of reasons. Number one, left-handed hitter. Number two, can you imagine him in the New York market on all the billboards? He's so lovable as a personality. He does the charity work. He checks all the boxes. But think about what Soto would bring to the Yankees if they could trade for him. It would be insurance for Aaron Judge. If they can't sign Judge, well, you've got Soto for 3 more postseasons. So you'd have him for this postseason with Judge. And if you don't sign him, okay, Soto just replaces Judge in right field and you get the same kind of MVP production. So it makes a lot of sense. The Yankees have the farm system to get him. They're just going to have to give up their best prospect, shortstop Anthony Volpe, probably outfielder Jason Dominguez, probably left-handed pitcher Mark Waldichuk, probably 1 or 2 other mid-level prospects. But there is a pathway for the Yankees to get Soto, and they're engaged, and they'd like to do it. Now, if that doesn't work and he goes somewhere else, a lesser target of theirs is Andrew Benintendi, who makes a lot of sense for the Yankees, although he also does for other teams like the Braves, the Giants, and the Red Sox. But Benintendi is hitting .322 this year. He's got on base on a 39% clip. He won the Gold Glove in left field last year. He's going to win it again this year. And he checks the 3 boxes that the Yankees need improvement on in the outfield. Number 1 is defense. He's a Gold Glove guy. Number 2, the high on-base percentage. And number 3, he creates traffic by getting on base. And they need more traffic for their big guys in the middle of the order. And, of course, the Yankees always want left-hand hitters playing in that small confines of right field at Yankee Stadium. So Soto, the dream target, Benintendi, a realistic acquisition for them if they fall short on the Soto quest.
And if they get either one of those players, I mean, it's just a matter of the rich getting richer as we head into the back end of the season. Lastly, what about the Houston Astros, Jim? Who do they need? Who should they be targeting?
Yeah, I think Wilson Contreras, the catcher of the Cubs, is the best target for them, to put it frankly. When you look at their catching right now, right, you got Martin Maldonado, who's a good defensive catcher, calls a good game, frames well, batting 172. The backup catcher is Jason Castro. He's hitting 115, and the rookie Corey Lee is hitting 222. They're getting no offensive production from catcher. And, of course, Contreras was the starting catcher on the National League All-Star team representing the Chicago Cubs. I think Contreras would be a perfect fit. I know they've had conversations with the Cubs about him. I don't believe they're close to a deal, but I absolutely love the fit there for Houston. Also, I've been told they're in on the Luis Castillo sweepstakes. It doesn't make a lot of sense because they've got Lance McCullers expected to come off of rehab shortly. They've got a deep rotation, a young rotation. But that being said, the Astros are trying to win the World Series here. They know how good the Yankees are. They know that the World Series path has to go through the Bronx, and Castillo would be a difference maker. And, oh, by the way, if you trade for Castillo, guess what? The Yankees don't get Castillo. So I think it's go big or go home for Houston. I don't think they're going to make a small tweak in the bullpen or a small tweak in center field like some people will argue. I think it's going to be a Contreras or a Castillo if they do anything.
Jim, we were talking about this before we came on, and we know the handful of teams that are in on Soto. You've mentioned a number of them, but based on what you know at this point, what is the most likely landing spot for Soto?
Yeah, I can't give the most likely landing spot at this point. I can tell you that, I've been in contact with the Nationals. I've been in contact really with all 30 teams over the weekend. And we've got big markets, mid markets, small markets all in play. Small markets like the Padres and Rays are in it. Big markets, Yankees, Dodgers are in it. Middle markets like the St. Louis Cardinals and Seattle Mariners are in on it. And those teams in particular all have the farm systems to make a trade here. Some of these teams could take the bad contract of Patrick Corbin off the hands of Washington. But a lot of times it's a matter of, will you give up your top 4 or 5 prospects? And if you do, then it's a matter of which prospects do the Nationals like better. The beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And sometimes, one team sees prospects and like them a little bit better than other teams and vice versa. So it all depends on what Washington at the end of the day views it. The one thing I have been told is that it's going to be like the housing market, right? Which is if the Nationals tell you what it's going to take, that might not be enough to get it. I think at the end of the day, teams might have to pay more than what they're being asked for right now. That's the demand for Soto. It has been ridiculous, the phone calls the Nationals have had. So it's going to be a fascinating week up until August 2nd at 6 p.m. when the trade deadline is. I do expect at this point that Soto will be traded by that point. I do believe teams are going to meet the price of Washington. And now it's a matter of which offer are they going to like the best. I was told this morning there is no front runner. I saw some reports where people said this team or that team was a front runner. I was told at this point there is not one. It's going to be a fun, long, drawn-out process, and we'll have it all covered here on CBS Sports HQ.
Good to know that everyone is still in the mix. All right, the Red Sox, Jim, they've really hit the skids here. They won last night to end their current funk, but they have fallen 3 games behind Seattle for the final wild card spot in the American League. What should their plan be at the deadline?
Well, what should their plan be and what is their plan are 2 totally different things. So let's start with what their plan is. They are trying to add. They don't like the term buyers or sellers. They made that very clear to me. But what I do know from their front office is their goal right now is to add another bat, either at first base or in the outfield, or both for that matter, if they can get 2 bats. And they want to add another right-handed reliever for the bullpen. So that's the mode they're in. That's the conversations they're having with other teams. I know there's a lot of people like myself that thinks they should be sellers. If you're not going to extend Xander Bogaerts, then why not trade him? JD Martinez is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Why not trade him? Look at where you are. But the Red Sox come back and they say, look, we're only 3 games out of the wild card. You saw what we did last year when we ended up getting past the Yankees in the playoffs. If we can get in, anything can happen. So the Red Sox view is different. And so, don't expect them to sell. I know there's a lot of reports out there of people selling. That is not what the Red Sox are telling me.
All right, he is CBS Sports HQ baseball insider Jim Bowden getting us all ready for the trade deadline 1 week from today. Thanks, Jim. Here.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.